Hi, this is Quinlan, and it is spring in northern Japan, which means it's foraging season. Today I'm here with my mountain foraging teacher, Haruo-san, as well as a small group of other people. We're going to quick pick some kogumi, which is a type of wild fern, and later today we're going to pick Koshi Abra, which is one of my favorite delicious spring edibles. Right now I am out in northwestern Hanamaki, which is just to the south of Morioka, and as you can see, we just walk up streams like this to find what we're looking for. Got these nice boots on so we can walk right through streams. This type of fern right here is kogumi. These are all the right type of fern, but they're too grown out. You want to get them when they're a little younger, when they're tightly curled. But to be totally honest, I find that even if I can't find exactly the plants that I'm looking for, it's always fun just to walk out in these streams and these ridges and the valleys. This right here with these flowers and this kind of leaf is wild wasabi. You can often eat the leaves too. In that case, they call it hawasabi or wasabi leaf. Right here you can see this is way too thin, but you want stuff that's tightly curled a little more like this. So some of this, like this here, I'm gonna see if I can't find some better stuff. Here we got some kogumi. Ideally, we'd get it a little younger, but when it's at least curled on the top, you can still always just cut off the top like 10 centimeters of it or something. Here you can see it's closer to that ideal time in the life cycle when you want it, when it's tightly curled. This too is, it's within range. You'd want it even more tightly curled than this, but this isn't too bad. When you're taking this sort of thing, these kogumi, of course you don't want to take all of them because you want to have the plant still regenerate, but you weren't anyways. You can take more than half, but you always just want to leave one or two.
Okay.
This is a little bit small, but it'll do. And so here I'm just taking a couple of these. And ideally, again, really ideally, you'd have these really tightly wrapped and almost just sticking up. But yeah, this year everything's a bit early, so beggars can't be choosers. And then just because I got it right next to me here, these white flowers are wasabi. Though usually you don't necessarily take the root with the wasabi, you just take the stem and the leaves and the flowers. And a lot of people will either make that into tempura, because of course everything's tempura. That's wild vegetables in Japan. That's just what people like to do to eat it. But also there's a way that you can put it in a jar with hot water and a few other ingredients, and it becomes this really zesty, spicy sort of thing that you would put on rice. Wild vegetables with Sansai in Japan, especially with the instability of the seasons these days, is that, yeah, just gotta go on a lot of scouting missions, which when you want to do that anyways, it's fun. Another excuse to walk up streams in big rubber boots and just check the condition so that you can hit it perfectly. If I wouldn't have been so busy, I would have been up here last week or 10 days ago, and so I would have known when the perfect time to do this would be, and I would have done it already.
Azami.
Azami.
何でもいいよ。ボイルしたのを普通にお浸しや。ドレッシングかけたり何かしても鉄分多い。だから貧血気味とかね、そういう女性にはこれおすすめ。どうぞいっぱい食べてください。
So this right here is azami, which I just learned about from Haruo-san this year. It looks like a little thorn or almost like a dandelion or something, but apparently it's really good in soup, and just gotta make sure you have gloves on when you do it because it's thorny. Put it in a different bag, and here I'm sure you're not taking anything else with it. Apparently after you boil it, the thorns go away, and it's healthy and delicious. He said it's got a lot of iron in it. I'll give it a try later today. One of our traditions when we're doing this is to get instant ramen and put a lot of these wild vegetables that we just picked in it and boil it with the water that we're going to use to put into the ramen. And so it's a great mixture of the extremely healthy and the maybe not so healthy, as instant ramen isn't necessarily known as a health food. It's actually really good. So in here we've got some of the ferns mixed with some of those, not nettles, but the thorny bush, that azami that he was taking. This deep leafy green here is that azami. He said you can also just sort of like lightly blanch it and eat it lightly boiled. Of course, later today we're going to go to a proper kitchen and cook some of the stuff that we made, and something that's a little bit more elaborate. But for when you're out here, lunch in the mountain, nothing like some foraged instant ramen. Sansai instant ramen. So now after lunch, and we've come to a different location to pick one of my favorite types of wild vegetable. That would be Koshi Abra. Now, Koshi Abra is most popular as tempura, but you can also stir fry it. I cook in a variety of ways, but we'll get into the cooking later. It smells amazing when you pick it off trees. Well, I'll show you how you do it, but it's just perfect. You don't need a knife or any tools. You just grasp it right here and boop, pick it, and there it is. And these trees just grow like weeds, and so you really don't need to worry about getting too many of them. As you can see, they just keep sprouting up everywhere. And you can see bears. Look at this. A bear has been scratching on this tree. Always when you're foraging for wild vegetables, you want to watch out for bears. Usually you go in a group. Like right now we've got about 6 of us in our extended group here, and we're talking as we go, and so really don't have to worry about bears at all because yeah, we've got this like huge wall of sound following us everywhere, and so no bears are going to accidentally bump into us. But every year there are cases of old people who are out foraging by themselves early in the morning and who accidentally stumble into bears and get injured. Ooh, okay. This one right here, this is the perfect one. These right here. I wanted to show you one other type of wild vegetable, and that is taranom. This right here is taranom. I mean, technically it's a taranoki, which this part here is the taranom, because this of course grows into the branches and new leaves, much like Koshi Abra. However, this one is got thorns on it. There's all these little spikes, and so you want to wear gloves, which I'm not wearing, but I'm going to be careful. The actual place that you pick it from is just fine. And these are incredibly well sought after. Some people call them the king of Sansai. It's one of the most popular types of wild vegetables. Most people eat them as tempura. When people say taranom to a Japanese person, they're like, oh, I love taranom tempura. But I also like doing it wrapped in thinly sliced meat, nikumaki, you would say. In Japanese, that's also good. And picking them, it's best with gloves. I don't know why I don't have gloves on, but anyways, you just go little, and pop, and it just pops off, just like this. This is just about exactly how you want it. You want it starting to come up a little bit like this, but not too much. This one also, just perfect. And there, it comes off pretty cleanly with your hands. You don't need a knife or anything for these. All right, this is perfect. Can't wait to eat it. Here in Osawa Hot Springs, they have a tojiba, which is an area which is meant for people who are spending a long time. Because it's meant for people who are on extended stays here to recover from an illness or to a sports injury, perhaps. So they have a kitchen, so you can cook your own food because they would expect that if you're staying for a long time, it's just much cheaper for you to do it that way. And so here they have this really rustic, simple kitchen, but they do have all sorts of implements that you can just use while you're here, but you don't need to bring your pots and pans from home. Let's go take a look at this kitchen.
今日何を作りますか？
そうだね、バッキ味噌、こし油の天ぷら、これも天ぷら少しして、あとはあれだね、ボイルして、まあちょっとその途中いろいろ。
いいね。
あとこれもごま和え。これは刻んでお湯かけて辛いやつ。瓶も買ってきたからこれ。この瓶に入れて。できたやつだよ。蓋開ければこんなそういうやつを作る。
Perfect. With the Koshi Abra, you take off the little bits. So you see, you start out like this, with this little bit on the end here. And after you peeled it off, it looks like this, nice and clean.
So this is just canola oil with chopped up fuki, or chopped up butterbur, I guess you'd call it, bake miso. And he's, frying it up there. Here we're already at work. We've cleaned up the Koshi Abra, making gyoza, the kogomi, all washed and ready. This hot pot, or nabe, stew, has some mushrooms that he foraged for in the fall, as well as meat, onions, a lot of the stuff we picked up today. One of the things that I always make with Koshi Abra is take this really thinly sliced pork, and I sort of roll it together with this to make, in Japanese you call it niku maki, which is literally a meat roll. And I do that because tempura is challenging. And if you don't do tempura right, it is really soggy and kind of just not pleasant. And if I were better, I would always just eat it as tempura, but I'm not. So yeah, I do this. And here is the finished, rolled, but still not yet fried, Koshi Abra meat rolls, I guess. So these actually cook really quickly because it's thinly sliced pork. So I just want to obviously make sure it's all going to get well cooked. I'm not exactly a master chef, as you can see, but I'm doing the best I can, and it tends to taste good when I'm done.
Well, that's pretty good, huh?
おー、すごい。肉巻き。
肉巻き.
I actually made this up, this recipe up. I'm sure other people might have done this before me, but I was the first person I know to think of wrapping Koshi Abra in meat like this and frying it, just because it seems like it would obviously be good. So I finished frying all these, and I'm going to eat just one of them to make sure they're okay before I feed them to everyone else. And so I think they're cooked all the way through, and I will now test this little one just to see for sure. So let's see. It's really good, and the Koshi Abra is still crispy. It's got that nice texture, but needs a little more salt. So when we're actually eating them, I'll have people put a little more salt on there. Perfect. Here, Haru-san is cutting the wasabi. You'll notice this isn't a root. He's cutting the stem and the leaf and the flower of the wasabi. Now it looks like the oil is hot enough, and so Hizuka-san is going to put the Koshi Abra. He's saying the pot is pretty small, so he's just going to put it in a little at a time. Here is the finished Koshi Abra tempura. This is my favorite tempura in the world. It's so good. So look at this feast that we've all made together here. Mostly them. I just mainly did this part. And we have in here, this is the hawasabi, it's called. This is the, it's wasabi, but it's the flowers and the stems. This is goma-ai kogumi, which is a fiddlehead sort of sesame dish. This is in Iwate, or in Tohoku in general, called bakke miso, which is the butterbur mixed with miso. Oh, this must be that azami, the sort of nettle, the sharp, spiky looking thing, also with sesame. Here we have some butterbur or fuki gyoza, and we've got a few different types of tempura here. We've got the Koshi Abra tempura, which I love so much, and then some types I haven't tried before right here. But it's gonna be just amazing. I can't wait. Look at all this food. I want to turn the camera off and put it away because we're all going to eat and talk and stuff, and I don't want to be a jerk and just be talking to the camera here or be sticking it in their faces. So let me first just take a taste of a couple things and tell you what it's like. What I almost never get to eat is tempura, and so I'm just going to show you what this Koshi Abra tempura is like. This is Koshi Abra tempura. It's really good.
秋で取ったキノコなんですか？この部位ね。
Here is the feast, and everything is incredibly good and healthy also, as it's filled with that rich natural soil, I would assume. I'm also doing tours like this where I take people out to forage for wild vegetables and eat what we foraged for. If you're interested in this sort of thing, hit me up, and perhaps when you're in northern Japan, we go out and pick some wild vegetables together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the trails.